everyone, today we are working on our sweet drawings inspired by Wayne Thiebaud, and we are going to be using oil pastels today to shade these drawings in and work with light and shadow to make them look 3D. So you are going to be taking your light source, placing it on one side of your paper to decide where your light will be. So I'm going to place my light source here on this side. If you want to choose the opposite side, that is just fine. So place your light source down, and then we will start shading in with our white oil pastel. Remember, light white. So whatever is closest to the light source, that is going to be the lightest color because all that light is hitting our dessert on that side. Our goal as we are shading in our desserts with our white and black to make light and shadow is to have a smooth transition and a smooth change from light to dark. So whatever is closest to the light of our light source, whatever is closest to the light source, so this side of my dessert, that will have the most white. So I'm going to push pretty hard as I fill in this side. Now you've all worked really hard to draw these 3D shapes. So as you are shading this in, you want to shade in with your lines. Never shade things in vertically. You want to go with the curve of your cylinder or whatever shape you had been doing. So now as I continue to curve around, I'm going to push a little bit lighter with my white. But I'm kind of still overlapping where I had started on the closest part to the light source, and now I'm slowly getting lighter, and now I might start to make like small lines that aren't all connected to just slowly transition out of my really bright white, because now as I get to this side of my dessert, it's not going to be getting as much light. So I'll slowly use less white, and you would also do this on the top of your dessert as well. The light is hitting that. So I'll push hard here. Try not to lose all of your drawing. Make sure that you still know where your lines are. Okay, and then as I get to the middle, less white. The only time that you might shade in vertically is if you just do like a quick outline around the side to really make that light part stand out on the side. That's the only time you would do that. Otherwise, let's curve all of our lines with the shape of our 3D dessert. Alright, so next you would be moving on to black to make your shadow. Because I am using black paper, you won't be able to see this, so I'm actually going to switch over to white paper so that you can see where I am placing my black for my shadow. Okay, so pretend that this is the same cake. My light is on this side, my white is here. Now I'm doing my black on my opposite side where this light source isn't reaching. So none of the light can reach to this side because my cake is taking up space and it's getting in the way of that light source. So the furthest part of my cake from the light source will be the darkest again. And you're still wanting to work on shading things in that curving direction. So you would have the most small little lines of black on the far side opposite of the light. Now black is a really, really strong color, so we do not need to push as hard with the black. I'm not pushing very hard at all. Push lightly. And then again, we're slowly transitioning and changing to less and less black as we get towards the middle. So those lines kind of get further apart and still curving, and then it will stop in the middle, and then we'll end up mixing another color into this to make this light and shadow. So this part, really make sure you're using a light hand. You're not pushing very hard. Now again, if you want to outline this side, you can do that. But then as you're making your shadow, push very, very lightly. Use a light hand as you are shading in with your black. You would do the same on the top half, just lightly making that shadow. Again, not as much pressure as the white. Alright, so if you look closely, you can see that I have also added my black to my black paper. Not pushing hard, pushing very lightly. And next, I am going to be adding in other colors to my dessert. Okay, so my dessert is going to be pink and brown. You can choose any color that you want. You probably have already drawn some designs and outlines, so kind of use those as guides when you are filling this in. But what you will do when you start, we have a little space in the middle where we maybe don't have white or black, and whichever color you want to start with, you will start in the middle where there isn't white or black. You want to push pretty hard. We are still working on curving our lines, so I'm going to have this bottom half of my cake is going to be pink, and I want to curve that line along with my cake. Okay, so I'm going to start filling that in here in the middle, and then you want to go towards your lighter side and start to blend that in with the white that I have. Still curving my line. And now as I get towards the light side, I'm not going to push quite as hard with my pink so that that white really shows through. We still want our cake to look like it's pink, but you want to see that highlight where that light source is. Okay, so once I'm done going to that side, curving my lines, then I would go back to my dark side. Again, pushing pretty hard to blend in with that black that we have put on for our shadow. And I will push pretty hard most of the time with my pink over my black because black is such a strong color that I need to use quite a bit of pressure with my pink. Alright. Then if you want to switch colors, you can switch colors at any time, but you kind of just do the same thing. So if I want to have a stripe of red next, I'll start in the middle. Fill that in, pushing hard, and then I'm going to go towards my light side. I'm still curving with my cake. And I start to push lighter as I get to the white side and let that white come through. Then I would go back to the dark side, pushing pretty hard as I fill in that side. Alright, and then any decorations that you have, you might end up doing those after you have filled in kind of your base color. Now the whole goal is for the colors of this to slowly change from light to dark. And we don't ever want to have a line where we can see where the white ends and then the pink begins and then the black ends and the pink begins. We want it to just slowly change and look natural. So that is the whole goal, and you would do that probably first by just filling in some big areas of color and then going back in and doing details. Now as you're practicing, don't worry about details, but these are just some ideas for you for details. One of the biggest tips I have for you when doing details is to go back after you have shaded in this base coat, and if you don't have any major details that you want, at least go back and outline things with a white or some kind of color that's really going to stand out. So you would kind of go outside of the lines that you've already made and outline everything to make it look nice and clean and finished. You might go on your dark side though and take your black to make that outline. It's kind of up to you what you think looks best. I'm not so sure I really like that black there, so I might go over top of it with my white to kind of blend it just a little bit so it doesn't stand out quite so much. Alright, so outlining is something that's really important, but then you can always go back and do other different designs. So you maybe have drawn some in, you decide where you want things to go. You can do different designs on your plate. Your plate can also include a shadow, so you would just have on your shadow side, you would have some lines coming off of your cake that would include a shadow. And then whatever color you want your plate to be, that would go over top of it. You could also include a highlight on this side of your plate as well. Alright, so that is your example for shading in your Wayne Thiebaud dessert, transitioning slowly from light white to dark with black, and then mixing in your colors and details along with it to make your creative dessert inspired by Wayne Thiebaud.